Look around. Your loved ones are here. Whether it's your friends, your family member, or a friend of a friend, these are your loved ones. So take another look to your left and to your right and think about how important they are to you. And just like that, that is how fast you or someone around you could lose their life. This is Drive for Life.
Good morning. We are here today to save lives. 13 years ago, Drive for Life was created here at North Marion to bring awareness to the issue of distracted driving. We are grateful to continue this program 13 years later, thanks to our sponsors, especially Duke Energy, for helping us continue our North Marion High School legacy. Drinking, smoking, being on your phone, or as simple as looking at something on the side of the road are all forms of distracted driving. Notice that the Drive for Life title is not Drive for Your Life. When you get behind the wheel of a car, you drive not only for yourself, but those in your car and everyone on the road around you. This year, we are focusing on the 3 Ds of driving: drunk, drugged, distracted, as well as passenger safety. Remember, items can be replaced, people can't. During this assembly, there may be some triggering and graphic content, and if at any time you need a counselor, they're available. This is Drive for Life.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Crystal Corbett. I graduated from North Marion High School in the class of 2000, and I will be telling the story of my cousin Loretta and her mother Deborah. I want to start off by saying that when my daughter Chloe asked me to give a speech for drunk driving awareness, I told her I don't think I can do this. I'm still very emotional about this tragedy that happened to me and my family. But the more I let it sink in, I thought to myself, I have to be their voice. I have to get this story out and tell people what happened to them. Anytime you step into the driver's seat of a vehicle while under the influence of alcohol, you are putting yourself and everyone around you in danger. On the night of June 14th, 2002, a man who I will never forget his name decided to drive under the influence. He drove his Toyota pickup into the wrong lane on County 316 and plowed into Loretta's Chevy Blazer, killing Loretta, who was 19 years old and 8 months pregnant, and her mother Deborah, who was 45 years old. He posted bond in 2003 and fled to the Dominican Republic. He was never held accountable, and we never got our justice. I'm just lucky for all the time and memories we made together in high school and while growing up with each other. In my senior yearbook, Loretta wrote me a note which she said, "We have so much ahead of us, so much to live for. The years have gone by so fast, and this is all such a shock. So always live life to the fullest and keep a smile through it all." Loretta was only 19 years old when her life was taken from her, and she didn't get the chance to have a long life in the future she was so excited about, and neither did her son. Her son was named Trevor Blake Rogers, who she was having with her high school sweetheart, Adam. Trevor would have graduated in the class of 2020. He could have potentially been some of your guys' best friend, or maybe just someone you would see in the hallway. But Trevor never got that chance to grow up. No first days of school, birthday parties, hanging out with friends. He didn't even have the chance to be born. All because a man drove under the influence. Making that one decision to get drunk and then drive can change your life or someone else's life drastically. Loretta was ready for her future with the guy she was in love with and her first child. Never in a million years did she think that her life, her child's life, and her mother's life would be taken so early on. It can happen to anyone. Be careful on the roads and think before you get behind the wheel. My life changed forever when I lost my favorite cousin and best friend. Till we meet again, Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
In Florida 2020, there were more than 4,500 alcohol-related crashes. 350 of those crashes resulted in death. That same year, there was over 700 under the influence of drug-related crashes, 353 which resulted in death. 43,787 Florida drivers were caught with a blood alcohol concentration above 0.08% in the state just last year, which is above the legal limit. Marijuana is known to have negative effects on judgment, motor coordination, decision-making, and reaction time, all of which are important skills for safe driving. In Florida, 1 out of 5 crashes caused by drivers between the ages of 15 to 20 result in death.
One distracted driver. That entire video included a tragedy where many lives were lost. 6 people not returning home and only 2 survivors. All because of one text message that was never even sent. I want you to just imagine being the person that caused all of this because you were driving distracted. Because she was driving distracted, she killed herself and one of her best friends, leaving the other one traumatized. Because she was distracted, she killed an infant and the parents of the 2 kids in the car, leaving the other kid traumatized. And because she was driving distracted, she killed the 3rd person with the 3rd car involved. But I want you to notice how I said imagine in the beginning of that scenario. And for you, I want it to stay at imagine and for it to never become a reality, because I don't have to imagine anything of what the little girl was going through and the emotions that she felt. You remember the little girl asking, "Why won't mommy and daddy wake up to the EMT?" That was me. I want to make it clear that no, I was not in the car when my parents were killed in the car accident. But I lived through the emotions and the scare that that little girl did. That little girl was me. Just starting kindergarten, now living with my aunt and uncle in a new house, in a new room, living a whole different life. And you have to remember, as a 5-year-old, death is a very hard concept to understand. So they didn't wake up and they aren't coming back are the only words that I understood. So that little girl was me. Every sleepless night I had asking my cousin, "Why won't mommy and daddy wake up? And why won't mommy and daddy come back?" Those traumatizing moments and unforgettable words are stuck with me forever because of one distracted driver. And I don't have to imagine what that little girl is going through in life right now because I am currently living it. I am dealing with my parents missing so many life events, all the way from something so small like getting my first A on a math test to missing important milestones. For example, I went to London for a once-in-an-opportunity chance to cheer in the New Year's Day parade. And they did not get to experience that trip with me. Nor did I get a simple, "We are so proud of you, Lex," from either of them. Distracted driving is more than just a text message. Distracted driving is a text message, a snapback, filming a TikTok, a like on Instagram, driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol, changing your music, or even playing around with your friends in the car. Doing any of these things could be the end to your life and or the life of others on the road. I promise you that you do not want to be the person asking yourself or having to ask your closest family member, "When is mommy and daddy coming back?" Or "When is your best friend going to come back and will I ever see them again?" Because as a little girl, my parents were my best friends, and losing them is a pain like no other that nobody should have to go through. But even if you did not hear a word that I just said, there's 2 things I want you to get out of this message. One is to always stay focused.
Always keep your eyes on the road and be aware of your surroundings. If you get a notification on your phone, just let it be. Because you may be the one saying, it's just one message or it's just one snapback, it can't hurt anything. And in that second, you are taking your eyes off the road and your life can literally flash before your eyes or the life of somebody else in the car ahead of you. So stay focused. And 2, always remember that you're not driving just for your life. You're driving for the life of others. Others' parents, others' siblings, and others' family members and best friends. So in other words, drive for life. My name is Lexi Roberts. Thank you.
Nearly 50,000 annual accidents that occur in Florida are caused by distracted drivers. Of the total crashes in 2020 Marion County, almost 6,000 of the drivers were recorded to be between 15 and 20 years old. 104 of those crashes resulted in death. According to research, 1 in 6 people who died in accidents caused by a distracted driver were either walking, cycling, or otherwise outside of a moving vehicle. In Florida, 1 out of 5 crashes caused by drivers between the ages of 15 to 20 result in death.
My name is Taylor Lartigue. I'm a paramedic for Levy County Fire Rescue. I've also worked here in Marion County for Marion County Fire Rescue, as well as Citrus County Fire Rescue. My mother and her boyfriend are also paramedics in this county. My sisters are dispatchers for Clay County, and my brother-in-law is a firefighter paramedic for Clay County. So to say the least, it's a family business. I'm here to talk to you today about the dangers of DUI, driving while distracted, and driving without a seatbelt. And to better explain that, I want to tell you a short story. In 2020, my partner and I had just crawled into bed. It had been a long, long shift. We'd been on since 8 a.m., and it was probably around 10:45, 11 o'clock at night. We get woken up to the station tones going off for a vehicle crash. Single vehicle into a tree, nothing further. We get hauling down the road and, lights are on. There's not a lot of traffic. It's sprinkling out, and the CAD updates and says that there's potentially 5 people involved, 3 of them teenagers, 2 adults, and that was it. We arrive on scene and see a deputy doing CPR on a 3-year-old in the middle of the street with a mom standing over her, screaming her head off, asking her baby to wake up. We get out, we treat the 3-year-old to the best of our abilities, but unfortunately she sustained life-threatening injuries and did not make it. The other 3 passengers in the vehicle, there were 6 total at this point. We did not find out till later that the 3-year-old had been thrown from the back seat through the windshield and into the tree. The 3 passengers in the back seat, a 15-year-old and 2 16-year-olds, were not wearing their seatbelts. The 15-year-old walked away with 4 broken ribs, 2 fractured vertebrae, a splenic laceration that required major abdominal surgery, and a collapsed lung. The 16-year-old on the passenger side in the back never walked again. The middle passenger, the other 16-year-old, required major thoracic and abdominal surgery to fix her injuries. The front seat male passenger received a traumatic brain injury and a fractured leg. The driver, the mother of the 3-year-old, 28 years old, they had left a birthday party and were headed home. Found out later on, someone offered to drive, but she refused. 3 hours after the accident, they finally obtained a search warrant to get her blood, and she was 4 times the legal limit, 3 hours after the fact. I can only imagine what she was at the moment of impact. She walked away with a scratch on her leg. That's it. Her 3-year-old's dead. The 3 teenagers required months of intensive care and a stay in the hospital. And her boyfriend in the passenger seat, as far as I know, is still suffering from problems from his traumatic brain injury. She was the only one wearing a seatbelt. She was also driving under the influence of alcohol. There's zero excuse to drive under the influence in this day and age with the proliferation of Uber, Lyft, and good old-fashioned taxis. I've been doing this 9 years, and I have too many stories like this to tell. Too many stories where I could go into graphic detail about the injuries, about how long it took us to peel someone's lifeless body out of a car. Too many of them teenagers. Some of them I can't talk about because they're still in court. There's no excuse to drive under the influence. Because not only do you affect yourself, you affect your passengers, your loved ones, your families, your communities, your local first responders. I've had too many friends quit this job that they love so much because they've been traumatized by what they've seen and had to experience in dealing with motor vehicle accidents, especially those involving teenagers or children. I've had friends kill themselves as a result of the trauma they've sustained in this career. Don't let yourself be reduced to a statistic. Don't let yourself be reduced to a cross on the side of the road or a page in the yearbook or a memory of your friends and to your friends and your families. There's no excuse to drive under the influence. There's no excuse to drive drunk. There's no excuse to drive while not wearing a seatbelt, and there's no excuse to text and drive or play on your phone and drive. Thank you.
If you have been affected or lost a loved one due to distracted driving, please grab a candle.
Hello, everyone. If someone stamped your hand today, please stand up. These people standing around you represent the statistic that every 1 in 5 drivers between the ages of 15 to 20 get into a motor vehicle accident and do not make it out alive. Even while sober, your chances of getting into a crash aren't 0, but being drunk, drugged, or distracted significantly increase these chances. Your life, or that of others, can be changed forever in an instant. When Drive for Life first started in 2010, it was recorded that 100% of students wore their seatbelts leaving the North Marion parking lot. In a study conducted during the North Marion High School 2023 school year, only 90% of student drivers and 71% of student passengers wore their seatbelts. We hope you take this assembly seriously and prevent yourself and others from becoming a statistic.
As we wrap up our annual Drive for Life ceremony, we'd like you to direct your attention to Lydia Sharp, who will be introducing to you our pledge.
We would like to invite all of you to please stand and repeat after us. This will be our pledge, and we will be pledging to Drive for Life.
I pledge to North Marion, my parents, my friends, and myself, to drive safely, avoid distractions, always wear my seatbelt, never drink and drive,
be strong enough to speak up, my friends are making more decisions, and always protect the lives of my passengers. Thank you, ABC.
We want to remind you that there are counselors present if you feel the need to talk to anyone. We hope you take these examples and information into your life and not only think about yourself, but others as well. Remember, just because you didn't lose your life doesn't mean the accident won't affect your life and that of others. As you return to your first period, safety net cards will be presented to you. This is a safety net card. On it, you'd write the contact information of trusted individuals that you can call in the event that you are unable to drive. This could be a friend, the friend of a friend, or anyone you consider a responsible driver. Remember, you're not only driving for your life, but also for those that you share the road with. These cards can quite literally save lives. As you head back to your first period and fill these out, we ask that you please take them seriously. For the rest of the week, during lunches, we will have a banner signing as well as lunchroom activities in relation to why it's important to Drive for Life. We would also like to thank our speakers and special guests for being able to join us today, and a special thank you to Duke Energy for being the sponsor of this program. As you exit, please return the candles to the baskets. We want you to remember to drive for life and make decisions so you and those around you can arrive alive.